everyone, welcome back to Beyond Beauty, the real talk on beauty business. Today in the studio is just me, and I'm going to be sharing some of the things that I've learned from my work as the founder and CEO of Splice. So in my work, I get to meet and talk to lots of different beauty business owners. They've shared with me what works for them, what doesn't work for them, and I'm going to give you guys the tea. So today, I'm going to be talking to you, or sharing with you rather, what successful beauty businesses do that struggling ones don't. Let's get into it. So the first thing that they do is they're focused. They're focused on one thing and they do that one thing very, very well. I know that a lot of times we think that we must be jack of all trades, but in the beauty industry, you don't have to do everything. Okay, so we have an email from somebody who, this is actually a DM, not an email, and they're asking basically if they should expand their services. It's a hair salon that only does weaves and extensions. They're asking if they should expand to doing relaxers, braids, and all of that. So I would say it depends. Depends on one, how long you've been in business for, depends on why you're trying to expand to doing all those other services, and also what you're hoping to accomplish by expanding. I think there's a case for expansion, but then there's also a bigger case for focus and, being very focused on that one thing. So if you're doing weaves and extensions and you do that very, 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 very well, but then you're noticing that a lot of your customers are requesting for maybe, I don't know, braids, you could potentially try to explore what doing that or what offering that could mean for your business. But I think you should use numbers to make that decision, right? You can't just make that decision based on vibe. So what I would advise and what I've seen people do is they focus on one thing, do that one thing very, very, very well. And then based on customer feedback, based on customer requests, based on, I guess, how much they have in their reserves, and based on what they're trying to accomplish, they might then experiment with, a new service. But then also you have to ensure that the service that you want to experiment with or introduce is actually still complementary to what your business or your brand is known for. Does that make sense? Moving on to the second thing that I've noticed that the successful businesses do really well is that they know their numbers. Every day they're checking their numbers. They know how many clients booked today, how many clients canceled today. They know how much they made today. They know how much they're supposed to have made today. They know what staff is working, what staff is not working, what service was the most popular service for that day. And they do that on a day-to-day, week-on-week, month-to-month basis. If you don't know your numbers, you can't scale, you can't grow, right? So struggling businesses sometimes get caught up in the activity of things, right? And you don't sit down with the numbers, or the numbers scare you. But as a beauty business owner, the numbers can't scare you. The numbers are very revealing. They tell you what's working and what's not working. So we've already established that successful businesses know their numbers and check their numbers on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. But let's talk about a practical example of how knowing your numbers actually helps you. I was talking to one of my friends who also runs a hair salon and uses Splice. And we're talking about just like what her plans are and what she wants to do. And she shared an insight with me that I just thought was remarkable. So we know that in the beauty industry, there's lulls, there's highs, and typically the summertime is where things are a little quiet. And she said that she was going to offer a discount or a promo on her top performing services. And I'm like, oh, and her example, or rather her reasoning was that she knows that people, like that's her most popular service on a month-on-month, week-on-week, day-on-day basis, right? And because we know that, or she knows rather, that during the summer months, people are, they've traveled, they're not around, so, there's a bit of a low traffic to the hair salon. Her thinking, which I think is super clever, is that if she offers a bit of a discount, that can get more people to come in within that period. And The only way that she could know to do that or try to experiment with that is by knowing her numbers, knowing what service is popular week on week, month on month, knowing what her foot traffic is on a monthly basis, and then being able to come up with a plan to prepare for that. Another pattern that I've observed with, really successful beauty businesses is that they automate a lot of things, right? So client inquiries is automated. They usually would have maybe an autoresponder on Instagram or on WhatsApp. Most of them use a booking system to help them just accept bookings on an ongoing basis without having to rely on their staff to respond to them. What I've also noticed in that regard too is that even when you just send an inquiry via DM or WhatsApp, within 2 tops 3 hours, they respond to you very quickly. And because they know that clients have short attention span, they do their best to respond very quickly, very timely to any inquiries that they get. One of the best ways that I've personally seen automation really, really work is with Splice, obviously, but we have this really cool thing, and I've seen it in action where a client comes to you, right? They've come to you maybe like 3 or 4 times over the last 3, 4 months, and then they suddenly just ghost, go quiet, right? A regular business might not notice, right? Other businesses, maybe after month 6 or month 8th, or not 8th, month 8 of the customer not coming back, might think, I wonder where this person is. But then automation allows you to set up a rule that says, if Layo or Shala hasn't come back in X period, so in 3 months or in 6 months, whatever you want it to be, send them this. And basically, this thing would run automatically for you. You don't have to lift a finger. Another observation that I've noticed with successful beauty businesses is that they have exceptional, as in out of this world customer service. Like, they actually care about the customers. They care that the customers are happy. They care that the customers come back. They care that the customers refer people, right? And they take that very seriously. So they ask for feedback. They notice when people are not coming back. They notice when they change their usual hairstyle, their nail color, or even ask for a different staff member, right? So they know their customers very, very well. On the other hand, restructuring businesses, they don't really care. They're just focused on the money. And money is great, don't get me wrong, but you also need to care about your customers. And it's not crazy. The very simple thing or obvious thing is that customers can tell when you don't care about them. You only care about them paying you, right? So I'll give an example. So as a self-proclaimed beauty girly, I'm always doing stuff like hair, nails, all of that jazz. And there was one time where I had sent one of my wigs in for laundry and styling and all of that jazz. And I had to pick it up because I had to shoot something. And I went to the hair salon, got the wig, came back to the studio, put it on, and it was not cute. Like I was, it was not cute. Like, it was not nice. It wasn't curled right. It was just nonsense. So I FaceTimed them and I'm like, guys, what's this? I cannot, use this, yada, 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 yada. They asked that, I send it back. And I'm like, but I need a wig to wear today because I'm shooting in like an hour and a half. I said, don't worry, we'll get it back. So send it back to them. 30 minutes, 45 minutes. 1 hour, I was like, hey, God, oh. I think then I was even teasing, okay, maybe I'll shoot with my cornrows. And then they sent another wig, not my wig, but they sent another one like, hey, we know that you have to shoot now. So take this wig. It's similar to your wig, same style, but it's styled exactly how you want it. Shoot with it. When you're done, just return it and we'll send the wig back to you. And I thought that was just amazing service. Like, I was blown away. I wouldn't have thought that they would do that. I was ready to fight them if they weren't going to get my wig to me on time. But I was very, very pleased that they did that. The other side of that is the businesses who would have said, well, sorry, we already did the wig for you, so if you don't like it, too bad for you, right? Or okay, you have to pay 20K extra for us to do it, and even then, it's not even guaranteed that you get it on time, right? But this business, in that moment, because I'm a regular there, and actually, I take that back. Even if I wasn't a regular, they would still have done this. They just have exceptional customer service. Now, because of this experience that I had with them, I have told everybody around me, if you need to wash your wig or launder your wig, take it there. So by them giving me this really amazing service, I have referred about 4 or 5 of my friends to them. They've also kept me as a client. That's what good service does for you. It keeps your clients happy. Happy clients refer people. You keep this new client happy as well. They refer as well, and then it's a flywheel that just keeps feeding itself. Successful beauty businesses also invest heavily in their staff. They onboard them well, they train them really well, they create processes and systems to help their staff thrive. And I know that with training staff, it's a slightly controversial topic, right? For a lot of beauty businesses, there's a school of thought that thinks, yes, train them well because they are the face of your brand. A staff can make or break your business, literally. And then there's other school of thought that thinks, oh, if I train them too much or too well, they're going to steal my customers and leave me. On the one hand, personally speaking, I can understand that, but I think it's helpful to reframe that thought. And Samuel Josephs, hi Samuel, said this best in a previous season of the podcast. He said, him investing in training his staff really well just means that even if they do leave, right, that's basically another Samuel. So he's populating the earth or, the area with lots of Samuel Josephs, right? And I think there's bragging rights in someone leaving your business and they're able to be successful on their own. And even when they talk about where they got trained or where they worked prior, it was, oh, I worked at ABC, I worked at Samuel, I worked at Coin, because it's like, that means they know their stuff really well, right? And I think that there's structure that I can put in place regarding, not regarding the fear around your staff stealing your clients, right? And then also, a staff who wants to leave will leave regardless of whether or not, you train them well. But then training them well, creating the right environment for them to thrive, doing things like insurance or not doing, offering things like insurance or maybe subsidized rent and maybe even profit sharing, vision buying in helps them stay longer. Structuring businesses, on the other hand, just lets people figure things out. There's no onboarding. They kind of skimp on training. There's a vibey approach to hiring and training staff. And there's constant turnover because nobody wants to stay at the business, right? And then you wonder, why is no one staying? Well, it's because you haven't put in the right structure in place to train, onboard, and retain your staff. Your staff are your walking billboard, if you will, actually. They're the first line of defense when people come into your business. They can literally make or break the experience that customers have with you. I know somebody who has a hearing disability and she speaks so highly of her hair salon. And why? She says the stylist who does her hair goes an extra mile in ensuring that she's comfortable and she can hear and communicate with her when she's trying to talk about what she wants to do or not do. I have another friend who has sworn to never go back to a spa because she got burnt. And the burning part wasn't the part that was the most painful for her. It was the gaslighting that came after from the staff that was just like insane. So those are just 2 examples of how staff, training them, onboarding them well, and retaining them can make or break your business. And the last but not least is everyone's favorite topic, money. The most successful beauty businesses don't live booking to booking or paycheck to paycheck. They've set up systems that enable them to put some cash to the side on a recurring basis. So that way they are not panicked. They are not stressed out when, the slow months come, because slow months and slow seasons always happen. They're able to make decisions strategically and not out of fear. An example, like a practical example of this, is from our roundtable discussion video that we released on IWD a few months ago. Ms. Joy, the founder and CEO of Braiding Vault, to give an example of how every month she has a standing order with her accountant to pull out about 20% of the income or revenue that's coming for that month and puts that into different savings or investment instruments, right? And I thought that was so clever. She said it's from that reserve that they've actually sometimes during slow months been able to pay salaries and plug in any operational holes that popped up during that month. And I thought that was so clever that, she was pulling money to the side to stash, but then that money wasn't just sitting there idle, it was working for her. So to make the jump from struggling or just, okay, average beauty business to successful to booming, pick one thing from this list and adopt it. Whether that's saving, whether that's improving your customer service, whether that's actually focusing on the thing that you do well and making that even better, whether that's looking at your numbers and seeing what's working, what's not working, and making strategic decisions through those lenses. Because when it comes down to being a successful beauty business, it's about doing the right thing, no matter how small or big it is, consistently over time. That's it for today's episode of Beyond Beauty, the real talk on beauty business. I hope that you found this episode valuable, but most importantly, practical. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as like and follow us on Instagram down there. Anywhere that you're listening to this podcast, please share, please drop any comments. We'd love to know how you found this episode. And I will see you on the next one. This is our last episode for the season, and truthfully, I actually didn't want to record this season because I was really tired. I was very stressed, still stressed. My sister and my friend pushed me to record, and I'm really happy that I listened to them, because all the guests that came on, thank you so much for coming and sharing your stories. To everybody who I disturbed on via DMs and phone calls, thank you for coming. Our stories in the industry deserve to be heard. We deserve to have a space and platform where we can share and learn from each other. And that's why the podcast exists. I don't know if there's going to be a season 3. We'll see. But if I'm going to use the pattern of things, there likely will be, but TBD. We'll see you. I will see you when we're back on the next one, if there's one. Bye.